Hi, LCMSD families. This is your superintendent, Brett Geithman,
And I'm Kyle Shaw, principal at Neil Cummins.
and we're continuing our video series of partnering with Larkspur-Corte Madera School District. This topic is on school safety. We want to first start off with our overarching goal. We want everyone in our learning community, everyone in our surrounding community to feel welcome in our schools. And this is essential for us. It's essential for our learning community. And that's really where safety starts. It's one of your basic needs. So at LCMSD, we believe that every single person belongs in our schools.
When we're talking about safety, one of our overarching themes throughout the district is using our positive behavior interventions and supports that we have at each site. You can see in this 1 through 6 graphic here that we're really doing our best job to identify and define behavior expectations so that we can teach them. And then in that, we want to monitor and really increase expected behaviors on campus, acknowledging and encouraging student behaviors and adult behaviors as well, and being sure that we are establishing a continuum of response to that behavior, including the reteaching aspects that are needed. And then we're collecting data so that we can make informed decisions about how we can improve this as we move forward. To be able to support all of these different pieces of safety, we are so lucky to have such great resources for our social emotional learning and wellness throughout the district. We have our school counselors. Thank you so much to Spark for funding our wellness program and especially our counselors. We have our wellness centers at each of our schools now as of last year. We're starting our second year with them, and they've been incredible spaces for each of our campuses. We are continuing our work with our marriage and family therapy interns at each of our sites. We use our universal wellness screeners to collect data and have informed decisions on how to support students throughout our upper grades here at the upper elementary and then as well at the middle school. We use responsive classroom practices. We've created our PBIS behavior systems at each of our sites, and we have safety care to be able to respond to supporting students that may need additional support in challenging moments. And we have trained staff to be able to work with those students specifically. And we're lucky to have a full-time behaviorist supporting general ed and special ed throughout the district.
So one thing that we do is it's really important. We've learned through a variety of trainings that to drill is essential. So we have safety plans at each school site and district wide. Those are approved on an annual basis and reviewed. And then we do something called the California Great Shakeout. I'm sure many of you are aware of that. It happens in October of every year. Monthly, we also conduct emergency drills, and those can consist of fire drills, intruder or lockdown drills, earthquake drills, shelter in place or toxic spill type of drills. We also do specific drills or tabletop exercises with staff about off-campus reunification or evacuation. And so those are other topics that we talk about. But drilling is essential. So the more you practice, the more likely you'll be successful in those particular events. So what happens when we actually have an emergency in LCMSD? We enact our emergency operating procedures. Now, sometimes this is an emergency that we could see. So we could see a fire and enact the EOP for a fire. Sometimes we get a phone call, potentially a school down the street is on lockdown. We would then initiate our emergency operating procedure until we had further direction or instruction from law enforcement. So sometimes it's a little bit ambiguous, sometimes it is very clear, but either way, once the procedure, the EOP is enacted, there's a sequence of events that we follow. So the first thing that we do is we are going to send you information immediately, or very timely, I should say. We're going to do that through Parent Square. Sometimes it's going to be, hey, we heard that school X down the street is on a lockdown. We have placed school Y on lockdown. Once we have more information, we'll let you know what's happening. Okay. And then we'll continue with that cadence of communication. It is essential that you read those emails and follow the guidance. Sometimes there are going to be specific directions for parents in those emails. Very, very important. The next thing is to follow directions from staff. So again, our staff are trained. Our staff has had additional training. When we have countywide emergencies or any sort of emergency, Mr. Shaw, myself, and other administrators are in direct contact with those making decisions at the higher levels within the county. So we have access to more information. So please, please, please follow directions from school staff. The next thing that we want to remind you of is to stay clear of schools until we message that student release has happened. This is for the safety of first responders, for our students, and also for our staff members. So if you could imagine if a number of parents start showing up at school, that means that law enforcement, fire, emergency medical services can't get to school as fast as possible because our streets are blocked. So again, please do not come to school until that student release has begun. So, in terms of student release itself, it is in all of our EOPs. It typically happens towards the end. So, if you are by campus and you show up while an EOP has been acted, you may be asked to wait in a designated space. After our staff have performed the critical jobs related to the emergency that we're responding to, then we begin with student release. That may take a while. So we just want to warn you in advance. The best plan of action is to read your emails and follow directions in those emails.
So we've been really lucky over the last few years to have additional specific training when it comes to safety throughout our district, using some of our summer summit days and additional staff meetings that we do throughout the school year that get really targeted and specific to our safety practices through our safety grant. So de-escalation techniques, trauma-informed practices, restorative circles and practices that have become really important after something is enacted for us to follow up with our students and connect with them and then be able to send information home. We've had trainings on active shooter or bomb threat or evacuation and lockdowns, wildfire, and additionally CPR, first aid, and stop the bleed. And so that is not something districts typically have, but we've been so lucky to have that as a funded source through our grant. Our facilities have been improved over the last 10 years and really specific when we're looking at safety. We have lock blocks on all of our doors throughout campus, meaning that all of our doors stay locked throughout the day and they are easy to close if there's ever an emergency where we need to lock down. No keys are needed and we're able to do that very quickly. We have window coverings throughout our classrooms and buildings on campus so that we can see out of our spaces, but no one can see in when the coverings are down in those spaces. We've increased our security cameras at all of our sites. We have additional AI integration with those security cameras to support our safety. We have monitors in all of our offices with all of the security cameras throughout the day. And then we have restricted access points and specific points of entry at all of our campuses so that we can monitor who is on our campus at all time.
In terms of technology, we use something called Share 911. This is on all district staff devices. It has direct communication with other staffers as well as law enforcement. So if there's an emergency, any staff member can bring attention to that particular emergency and, of course, notify law enforcement immediately. We have walkie-talkies for all of our classrooms or classroom suites. So this is in the event that cell service doesn't work, other modes of communication don't work. We have repeaters and other things to ensure that our walkie-talkies are ready to use for communication. We have an anonymous tip line. So this is on our website. So really important. If there's something that you feel is unsafe or you have a concern, of course, reach out to us. If you want to remain confidential, you can also use the anonymous tip line. All staff are required to wear ID badges, so it's very clear to see who belongs on campus. That also pairs with our Raptor check-ins. So when you check into the main office, please remember to bring your photo ID. We're going to swipe that. We actually do a quick background check, and then you receive a badge yourself. So the badges are a very visible way to see who belongs on campus.
Dr. Geithman talked about this a little already. This idea of a closed campus is really for us to be able to monitor who is on campus, and how you do that is making sure that everybody that's entering campus that is not a staff or a student throughout the school day comes through the main office. They get checked in through our Raptor space. Having your photo ID ready, and if you're a frequent person, we have it logged in our system. We will print out your badge when you come and check in through that office space, and we use that Raptor background at all three of our sites in Larkspur, Corte Madera.
Okay, so ways to get involved. We have a school safety task force. Our task force, we publish those dates. It meets 4 to 6 times a year. We've done a variety of things, such as extensive studies on overall school safety here in LCMSD, to prioritizing different safety measures that have then been implemented in our schools. The current project that we're focusing on is gathering more information regarding school fencing. That was something that came up in safety reports, and so we're investigating that further. We encourage you to be involved in those in the safety task force. Additionally, it's really important to point out our partnerships. We work really closely with the City of Larkspur, the Town of Corte Madera. We also work closely with Marin County Office of Education. We've had trainings from the FBI, from the Sheriff's Department, and then again, we work very closely with the Central Marin Police Authority as well as Central Marin Fire. So lots of partnerships working together to keep our schools safe. So again, we appreciate you watching this video. Safety is our #1 priority. Learning can't take place unless our schools are safe. Everybody does their part, and we appreciate you doing your part to keep our schools safe. Thank you.